Good morning and welcome to What's Working Wednesday here on the Step by Step Listening page. For those who don't know me, I'm Sharon Andrews, I'm the founder, and today we're talking all about 3 reasons your planning fails. So those of you who don't know, my area of expertise is managing your critic. It's managing that story that you're telling yourself in your head that is preventing you from turning your dreams into reality. My goal and my mission in life is to help you turn those dreams into reality so that you can do more of what you love and ditch the critic that says you can't. And at the heart of all of this is always listening skills. It's about how you listen, how you question, and how you process the feedback that you receive. That will ultimately determine the thoughts and the stories that you come up with, which then determines the way you feel about stuff, and then our emotions drive our action or inaction, as it may be. And with your blessing and your permission, I'd like to share with you a chapter I've just written for book number 2, Do, Delegate or Ditch, where working title that is. And the strap line keeps on changing, but it might be decision making made easier or turning time monsters into time masters. But ultimately, it's all about planning, time management, and decision making. If we've got a dream, then we going to have a gap. We're going to have where we are now and where we'd like to be. And I see it happening all the time that there's 3 key reasons why that doesn't happen. So number 1 is clarity. We're saying that we want this and we want that, but we haven't really spent some time really thinking about it. And there's lots of reasons we don't do that, but mainly around the critic is that we've already got a self-editing thing that I don't want to look into it too much detail. I don't want to think about it too much because then I might have to be sad that I can't have it. And I'd rather keep it in the future, this distant thing that may or may not happen one day, because it's lovely thinking about it as a nice, would be nice, a wish, because I can still conjure up those lovely feelings of, wouldn't it be lovely if? But if I actually give it some real serious thought, that it might cause me pain, or it might mean I have to do something different, or I might have to change, or I might have to do effort. So without even consciously knowing it, the likelihood is that your critic is already doing little tiny things in the storytelling to stop you from doing anything that might cause you pain. And the answer, the solution is to have that courage to get clarity. So start asking yourself questions about what it is you're saying. Start to really allow yourself to fully dream and immerse yourself in the hopes and the aspirations and the belief that and then develop the confidence that you require in order for change to happen. Because whatever the thing is, something will have to change. Even if you don't need to change, but you doing something else will change things for other people, you'll need to know how to handle the impact of that change on other people. So change is inevitable. It's happening all the time, whether we do something consciously about it or not. So the number 1 thing is clarity. And I talk a lot about that in the book, Managing Critic from Overwhelm to Clarity. And I talk you through a self-coaching program where you can start to ask yourself better questions, really look at the language, what do you mean by what you say? And just check if that little tiny kind of like sarcasm bit at the end that's where you're being mean. I'd really love to, but I'm never going to get it, that kind of stuff. And just imagine, instead of saying, I really want to have that, just thinking about, so if that was just the way you'd like it to be, and you talked about it in the present tense to yourself, so imagine yourself actually there right now. If it was just, what would you hear, see, sense, feel, taste, touch? What would be around you? And just really allow yourself to absorb yourself in what it will be. So that's number 1. And the strategies for that are using all your senses. You could glue and stick pictures from magazines, doing vision boards. You could write about it. You could journal about it. You could talk about it. And actually, I highly recommend, and the thing we're going to cover on the Clarity and Confidence program in November, is you do as many of the senses you can. So I use aromatherapy oils that stimulate the smell that I associate with that. So at the moment, if I'm thinking about spending time in Greece with Susie, I have orange and lemons essence because they have orange and lemon trees there, and it takes me back to that feeling. There's certain fabrics on my bed behind here. You can see there's the cushions here, but there's also soft fabrics. So I have things that I can touch that remind me of the comfort or the warmth of the thing that I'm heading towards. So in the clarity part, yes, there's lots of things you can do to engage all your senses so that you actually really, really understand wholeheartedly what it is you want. Now, the reason for clarity being so important is that so many people don't say what they mean and don't mean what they say. And then they get exactly what they ask for, and then they're disappointed, and then they go, oh, there's no point dreaming. But actually, it wasn't the dreaming wasn't important, wasn't worth it. You didn't dream accurately enough. You didn't dream with clarity. You didn't really get into the nuances of it all and check it. I have asked so many people, you know, to what kind of house, and actually the kind of one they had in their house, their head was, you know, really big, and then they go, actually, do you know what, I really wouldn't want to do that because I've got to do housework or whatever. And they go, okay, so when you housework and big house, what would you like to do? Well, if I had a big house, I'd have to have a maid. Okay, and so it was like the reason why they weren't going for it is because they hadn't really uncovered all the little things that might not be there. And equally, for me and Mark, we've kind of gone, do you know, I don't need the big house. What I need is a lovely space, and we can make our home really lovely. We don't need to be spending huge amounts of money on a new property, but what we do is want freedom. And so we have looked at other places that we might want to own another property as a holiday home, so where we might want to go. So rather than buying, and we decided we didn't need a bigger family home. We didn't need that we've got a lovely home where we are, but we might have wanted some others. So actually, when it's really thinking about it, it was more about location than actually home. And as you might know, we bought Bongo instead, which is completely different, but it means we can go to lots of different places. We can just take our home with us and we can get there. So when we got really down to the nuances, the little bits of detail about it, then the actual dream becomes much clearer, and it's much easier to attract it, to spot opportunities to get them. So number one reason we don't, our plans fail is because we don't actually ask what we want. We've not got clarity. And there's lots of different aspects of that, which we'll be covering on the programme. From, you know, perhaps we're only thinking about business, we forget about our own well-being, we forget about work, so we compartmentalise our thinking, and so we have to expand it, and we don't consider lots of time frames as well. So the clarity is really important, because your dream will not come true. You'll get exactly what you asked for, and you'll still not feel happy because you didn't include everything. You didn't get the detail there of what it would feel like, what it would sound like, smell like, taste like. So clarity is one. Then number two reason is time. And time has lots of things here, because sometimes it's just that we don't understand how long it will take. But when you've got a goal that's absolutely never going to change, it's going to something you want to have, the time it takes becomes irrelevant, because it's like, I'm going to make it happen. I've just got to work out how. And to be able to sustain that, the reason why it's important to get into all the five senses for clarity, for example, is that whilst maybe you want to have a financially successful business and that will take time, maybe you want to lose weight, maybe you want to get fitter, there are some emotional things that those things will give you. And your emotions, if you remember at the beginning of this video, are all about your thoughts. So if you change the story you're telling yourself right now, you can actually instantly in this moment feel better. So when my weight loss clients, I used to work with them, they often would, you know, when I've lost weight, I'll be more confident. And the black and white is, your weight is not causing you to have lack of confidence right now. What's actually stopping the lack of confidence is the fact you have a feedback loop, is that when you see yourself in the mirror, you say something horrible about yourself, or you see somebody's face or expression and you interpret what people think of you. And that becomes a definition, an identity that you are your weight. But we all have love, the essence, the sense of who we are inside, no matter what shape or size we are, no matter what colour our hair is, no matter whether we wear makeup or don't wear makeup, whether we skirts, dresses, you know, gender, it doesn't matter. As a human being, the essence of who we are is the same, no matter what our shape or size, no matter what our ability, we have value and we matter. And confidence doesn't come from buying stuff, from earning more money, from getting slimmer. It comes from your thoughts. And the lovely thing about it is that people often don't even attempt to do these goals because they think it's going to take too long, it's too hard. So those of you know that I've been in the weight loss industry, I was there for 10 years. And in the last 10 years, I spent the 10 years undoing that talk of, when I eat this, I'm naughty. When it's there, it's bad. And I've now got to a place where I can honestly say I totally enjoy my food. I have what I want when I want it. I used to think it was completely bonkers that people could leave a bar of chocolate in the fridge. I don't really buy chocolate that often now. Oh, that's a bit of a lie, because I've had some Magnum ice creams the last couple of nights, so that's not true. But I don't have the cravings like I used to over food. And I've been losing on average £1 a month for the last 2 years. And I'm really happy for it just to keep coming off slowly, because I genuinely feel more confident. I'm happy with myself. My fitness levels are going up. I can feel myself getting stronger. I can feel my body getting firmer. It was never going to be an instant stuff. I was quite happy it's going to take longer, but I could instantly start to feel better by having a different feedback loop. So time is one of the reasons why it doesn't work, both from the clarity point of view, is we often, we're doing something new, we don't know how long it's going to take. So one of the ways you get around that is get the feelings now and focus on bringing that story to your attention right now, and notice when you have got confidence, notice when you are feeling great, when you are feeling proud, whatever the thing is that you think you're going to get from achieving that outcome. It's like, what are those, what evidence have you got that you've already got those right now? So that's one of the feedback loops. You can then also do feedback as in, if you're having to change something, you may not have done this particular thing. So like me with my online membership that I'm building, never built one before. I've got friends that have done them, I can ask them questions, but I have learned new things before. So I can have a look at how long it takes me to learn things and how I do things. So I've got an idea roughly how long it can take. So I can give myself feedback on past experiences, so that can help me get a better idea of the time that might be involved. Another thing is keep a record of how long things take, because, and actually write it down so you can physically look at it, because our memory about time is useless. If you think about when you get a memory on Facebook or someone brings you a photograph in a conversation, how often do you look at that photograph and you go, oh, God, that feels like yesterday, but actually it's like 5 years ago. Or you think, well, that feels like 5 years ago, but it was only yesterday. Our perception of time is very inaccurate, the way that we hold time in memory. And therefore, it's not a really good idea to trust it 100%. You're going to have to check it and actually be aware of how long things take. And that's really important in business, because it's so easy to not price yourself effectively because you haven't remembered all the years of training you put in to get to the skill set you are now. You forget that the reason why it takes you an hour now is because you did 20 years of training. And so you start charging people based by the hour rather than based by your experience. So the fact that you can do it in an hour is because you put 20 years of practicing into it. And we forget all that time. So it's really important when you come to getting clarity of what you want in confidence, is that you understand your time models and understand the time story that you're telling yourself that is or isn't supporting you to do more of what you love. And the last thing is, the third thing is support. Whenever we want to do something, it doesn't matter what we do in our life, it is not possible. I don't know of anybody at all in this world that does anything completely independently. Even, I mean, if you're a complete hermit and live in a log cabin in the middle of nowhere and you grow all your own food, etc., and you never speak to anybody at all, but they're not the kind of people that I'm reaching out to. The people that I'm reaching out to, they like being connected, they like being with people. So nothing you do, even if you want to prove that you're capable, you have to have support, even if it's just your family are happy to give you the time and space without nagging you, whether it's like our book authors. You're writing a book, it's very much the author. It's their book, their name on it. But there is usually a team of 5 or 6 people, whether it's their cheerleaders, their peer review people, their editor, their publisher, their designer, their coach and mentor in our cases. That's 6 people that are actually helping them to get that book written. And without those people, they won't get good quality work. They won't get that feedback that they need. And so the number reason why we don't get the right support is we don't take time and clarity to think about what support we need. 2, we often perceive other people should do it much quicker because we're paying them and their experience. So our perceptions of time and our tolerance of people can often be lacking. So when we do pay for help, we have a really high expectation. And 3, we don't have the skills to give feedback when it's not working. And so what lies amongst all those 3 things, the reason why planning fails, is that the 3 real reasons is the core things are clarity, time, and support. And the core skills that you need for that to work is your ability to listen to yourself to get clarity of what you mean by what you say, your ability to ask yourself questions to really drill down. Then you have to be able to tell somebody that, and you have to be okay with them asking you lots of questions to clarify it without judging them, thinking, God, they weren't listening properly in the first place, God, I bet they're paying attention. And understand this is a mutual bit that you invest time to make sure you both mean the same thing by what you say. And then once you start the process, it's understanding that every now and again you need to review it, and that things may take longer than you anticipated, and not getting into that point where you're judging other people or judging yourself or getting cross with people, but actually you have a feedback system that's in place. Karen and I have worked together now for 3 years. We've known each other for nearly 10. And one of the things that we do is we have a regular meeting, and we'll just talk about what's working, but we'll also talk about something that doesn't feel right. We can't tangibly work out what it is. It might just push a bit of a button. It just doesn't feel quite right. And we negotiate everything based on, so she'll say, what about this as a price? And she'll come back to pay me, and vice versa. And I'll go, that doesn't feel right, but this feels about right. And she'll go, well, that feels right. And we do that like a bit of game of tennis until we get a figure that feels right for both of us. So that doesn't sound very sort of like logical minded. Maybe that's not how people do the sort of percentages and statistics, but that is what works for us. So understanding that your core skills for any of this is going to be your ability to listen to yourself and others without judgment, your ability to ask questions and be okay with asking questions. Quite often I come across people who are really, really curious, and they'll ask loads of questions, but they don't particularly like being asked questions. They don't like being stopped and made to take their thinking somewhere they weren't planning to go, but they're quite happy to ask questions to take other people's thinking to where they would like them to go. And feedback. So many people find it difficult to give feedback on a regular basis, like tell people what they really value about what's working. Tell them, you know, even if you didn't get the expectation or the outcome you expected to get, really truly valuing what you did get, that was a sort of an added bonus or an accidental thing that came out of those discussions and conversations. And then talking honestly and openly about what doesn't work and coming up with a solution. There's no point just complaining to someone and say, look, it's really not working that you do X, Y, and Z. You have to be able to say, what's really worked is this, what's not working is this, and what needs to happen is this. And you have to have evidence. You can't just say, you make me feel sad, because they don't know what the behavior is that they did. So it's like when you come in and sit down and don't say hello to me, I make this story up that you're too busy and preoccupied and you haven't got time for me. The impact is I feel sad, and what I'd like to have happen is for us to talk and have a conversation. So you have to be able to map out the evidence and the feelings and separate them for other people to be able to understand you. So that's 17 minutes. I have been talking to myself because nobody's on live. That's the chapter I'm writing right now. If that's something that you are interested in, please put a comment in below, because I'm now looking for motivation. I'm looking for feedback. Who wants this book? Who wants me to finish it? Who wants me to get it out there for spring 2019? And if you are thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait that long, I really need to make sure that I have got clarity of 2019's dreams and goals. I really want to get that confidence built up inside me. I want to break away all that critic story that's stopping me from being the very best version of myself. I want to be able to manage the time monsters that stop me from believing that I have time for this, that I can do it. And I want to know how to ask for the support and be able to negotiate those partnerships and relationships so that I can grow to the fullest person I can possibly be on this planet. If that's you, I am running a 5-week planning strategy course in, it's called Clarity, Confidence and Change. It's an online group coaching program starting on the 31st of October, so Halloween Day, taking away all those fears. We will be meeting online at 8 o'clock and 1 o'clock for 5 weeks, every Wednesday for 5 weeks until the 28th of November. You can come to 10, if you want to come to all 10 sessions, you can. It's for an hour, and we'll be 8 till 9 and 1 till 2. Or I recommend you do a minimum of 3 during that time, but there will be tasks being set. So week 1, we will be looking at what do you need to be able to work at your best and learn best in the group. So we'll be looking at your core skills, listening, questioning, feedback. How do you need to be able to okay on the live call to speak up? How do you need to be able to engage and write your thoughts and feelings in the group? So we'll be looking at those solid, those foundation skills at the very beginning. Week 2, we'll be getting clarity of what you want in 2019. What do you want in the next 90 days, the next 60 days, the next 30 days? You'll spend a week really, really going through your plan and taking time to it. And there'll be lots of tips coming through to help you look at different ways to visualize it, whether it's vision boarding, whether it's post-it notes, whether it's buddying with somebody from the mastermind group and actually having a conversation with each other. But there'll be lots of things in week 2 where we're really getting clarity of what you want. Week 3, we'll be looking at confidence. So now that you know what you want, what is it that you need to do to have confidence? And we will be looking at the timeline. What is realistic? What is possible? If you need it to be faster, what needs to change? And what do you need in terms of confidence to be able to create that change? And the last thing will be a list of things that needs to change. So that's when we'll start to create the plan. So actually looking at what needs to change, when are you going to do it, who's going to do it, where can that support come from? And then we'll be finishing week 5 with feedback. So we'll be reflecting on the whole 5 weeks and finding out what you've learned about yourself, what you've learned about listening, questioning and feedback, what you've learned about yourself in a group learning environment, a coaching session where you're learning about these things, what worked, what didn't work for you this time, so next time it could work better. We'd also be looking at what's working about your plan for 2019, what's working about the way you talk about time now, what's working about your decision-making process, and what's not working and what needs to happen to work better. And that will be my hope and aspiration. By the 28th of November, I will leave you absolutely sorted to have the most amazing Christmas, because you'll be stress-free, full of hope, and you'll know the date that you're starting back in January. You'll know exactly what's on your task list, and you'll feel free to switch off knowing it's all sorted and it's all in hand, and that you will have this amazing support network of people. I'm putting it out, the intention is to have 40 people in that room. It always sounds a lot of people, but we're busy people. So if you've only got 3 or 4, people don't engage very much. You've got 40 between us, 2 or 3 people most times will be able to come in and answer questions. So it's my hope that we're going to have 40 people in that group on the 31st of October, and I'd really like you to be there. If that sounds like what you want, I'm going to put the link below in the comments of the video. You can log in. There's a PayPal button there. Just log on now. It's just 197. It's 197. It's a real. I just want you guys to have this help. I've been talking for years about doing this program in November. And a light bulb went off because I'm writing a book. It's I twigged what I need to do. I've been practicing this member online thing. I've been in a group coaching program, mentoring program for the last 18 months. So I've been experiencing what works, doesn't work from a recipient point of view. I've now collected all the data and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to set out to give you that hope, that inspiration you need for 2019. So I'd like to know, what do you know now as a result of this video? What difference does knowing that make? And what would you like to have happen next? Please share your comments below, and I hope that I'll hear from you soon and we can find out more about each other. Have a fantastic week. Ta-da.